let's move on then to the entire aviation space, because that's clearly had wings. Most of these stocks, particularly Interglobe Aviation, has done very well. To talk more about it, we now have with us one of the regional players, Fly91. So they're a regional player which is based in Goa, and Manoj Chacko, the MD and CEO, and he himself is an industry veteran. He was the former VP of Kingfisher Airlines. He now joins in, and a couple of months back, they started commercial operations, and they're slowly and steadily expanding. Mr. Chacko, thank you very much for joining us on the show. We've seen very strong tailwinds for the entire industry in terms of the number of customers, people who are flying now. Crew prices have come down, but supply has been a bit of a constraint. SpiceJet has been looking to raise some money. Can you lay out, when you decided to start this business, what is it that you thought in terms of the opportunity for you?
Sure. So in terms of opportunity, the way we kind of saw it is, India is obviously one of the fastest growing aviation markets in the world. At this point of time, last year, we had close to 150 million passengers that flew domestically, about 120 operational airports. We're going to go up to about 200 operational airports in the next, couple of years. And India is still a very constrained market in terms of the number of people traveling versus the supply that exists in the market. While there's a lot of capacity available between core sectors in India, which is really the big metros and the next level of cities, there's a huge gap in regional connectivity. So today you have less than 3% of seat capacity actually being deployed onto the tier 2 and tier 3 cities. And that's really where the headspace is. Like if you look at India today, we have just about 750 aircrafts, and that is less than possibly what the largest carrier in the US has got. So the headspace is huge. The growth is phenomenal, and we clearly see an opportunity to connect, the smaller towns and cities in India. That's really what got us going on this particular journey.
Mr. Chacko, good to have you on. I'm going to ask you a very basic, fundamental question, and one that I think saddens a lot of flyers in this country. India has, become the land where the doomsday is written for so many airlines, one after the other. I mean, if I start counting from the Air Deccan days to Sahara to Kingfisher, the latest being, of course, Go Airways because of the engine issues. And who knows, I mean, we're fingers crossed on SpiceJet now. Let's see how that's going. Now, while some of it could be mistakes made at a company level, but I mean, you're a veteran and you've seen, you've been there, done that, seen a lot of this go down. What ails the sector? The first sort of response that we typically usually get is that taxation is very high. But, taxes are part of my ticket price. So it's got to be more than that. What's going so wrong with Indian aviation?
Okay, so I'll kind of answer this at a very fundamental level, and this is not just about India. This is globally. What we typically see is the moment you approach aviation as a service industry, you kind of lose the plot. Aviation is the transportation business, and if you look at successful airlines worldwide, the moment they focus on this business as a pure point A to point B transportation business, you find that the focus of the airline is actually on the right set of metrics. Okay, again, one of the interesting points, which I think is good, especially from where we are today in India, is whenever we've had professionally set up and professionally managed airlines come into the fold, they have always been successful. And we've got a whole bunch of great examples. We have examples of, Rakesh Gangwalji and Rahul Bhattacharya getting together to form Indigo. We've got examples of Adil Ali in the Middle East setting up Air Arabia. We've got Wizz Air. So every time professionals have come together with professional funding to set up an airline, it's always been successful. A large part of the reason for past failures has been aviation has been approached more as a vanity industry as opposed to a transportation industry. So I think that's fundamental number one. Fundamental number two is aviation is not necessarily about the physical product that you get on the plane. That's all hygiene. It is really about how you create your network, how you bring in operational efficiencies, how you bring about cost leadership. I think these are some of the critical aspects that successful airlines have done. Okay, and any airline that focuses on these three things has always been successful anywhere in the world, including India. India's got a couple of great examples of that. Similarly in the region as well. So I would basically attribute a lot of past failures to airlines not focusing on the fundamentals and rather focusing on it more from a vanity and a service industry perspective.
That's an interesting perspective, and yeah, a very refreshing one as well. Now let's come to the here and now, the present. What all this has meant is obviously we basically have just about two functioning airlines in the country right now. And if one goes by recent reports anyway, I think ticket prices for the upcoming festive season, they're already shooting through the roof. Someone, between 25 to 30% is the appreciation already. From the perspective of immediate demand supply, mismatch capacity, pricing, what are we in for? And just, tell us, I think you're looking at a lot of the tier 2 markets in the south, Hyderabad, Bengaluru, some pockets in Maharashtra as well, of course, Goa. What is the capacity addition that you will be looking at?
So from a Fly91 perspective, we're kind of doing a very slow and measured growth. Our entire business plan is built on inducting 6 to 7, 76-seater regional aircrafts into play. As of now, we got 2 aircraft flying. We got 2 more coming in by Diwali, and we got 2 more coming in the last quarter of this year. So before March 31st, we would be 6 aircraft flying. As of now, we are connecting 7 destinations in the country, out of which, absolutely virgin destinations like Jalgaon and Sindhudurg, and, we also fly into Lakshadweep and connecting Pune. And the entire focus on slow, measured growth, but the slow, measured growth is really connecting the tier 2, tier 3, possibly even tier 4 kind of cities. And that is really where the wealth is in India today. That's where the propensity to spend is. That's where the aspiration is to kind of connect into the largest cities. Okay, and that is really that's really the segment that we're going after. And from a plan perspective, like how I said, slow, measured growth, 6 to 7 aircrafts a year. Every year we're going to connect about 8 or 9 cities from one base. So year 2, we get into base 2, connect another 8 cities from there. 5 years, 32 aircrafts, 50 cities, 5 bases is the measured growth that Fly91 is focused on. And really about, what we call as Bharat Unbound. It's connecting the last mile.
Okay, all right, Mr. Chacko, we will leave it on that note for today. Thanks very much for joining in and giving us a sense on, how aviation is shaping up. Of course, remember, the context is that yesterday there were several upgrades coming in on Interglobe. A lot of the brokers saying that there's going to be a sort of improvement in overall operations and profitability as well for the airline. And some of those targets are northwards of 5,000. So that's aviation. Let's take a break on that note. We'll come back on the other side and put the spotlight on the commodity markets.